Hi Mars, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me, Terry.
Delighted to be chatting with you. Award-winning filmmaker. Mars, before we talk about your films, can we talk about your career, sort of what you brought you on that journey towards the filmmaking?
Sure. Back in 95, I graduated from York University Film School outside it, which is part of Toronto. I grew up in Toronto. I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
And, back in those days in the 90s, I worked in the music video industry. Much music was a big part of it, and doing everything from first ADing to editing to being in them to doing music. I was a DJ for about 10, actually more like 25 years.
Yeah.
And that brought me to New York, where I ended up working in a store run by the Sex and the City stylist Patricia Field. And then I got into making feature films with homemade cameras that called first film in I started shooting in 2006 called The Little House That Could, which is about the whole drag community in New York. And, the straight boy that's saved by the drag community, and I was given a second home. And I just thought it was a history piece that needed to be talked about. Like, the store was around since the 60s and did everything from help propel people like Basquiat and Keith Haring's art career to giving famous designers like Marc Jacobs little jobs and stuff before they became famous. And I just thought, this needs to be talked about. It also dealt with that whole voguing ballroom scene that was around before Madonna. And Patricia Field, the Sex and the City stylist, was a big part of that whole, basically big part of New York's art culture. And I needed to make that film.
It wasn't just a story.
It definitely has that super creative force.
Working next to thugs and trannies and drag queens and cross-dressers.
It's the old school New York, it's the real New York.
We were always the misfits of fashion.
We were doing all the work for all of the stylists in New York.
And the inspiration of all those amazing kids, new kids, talented kids.
They flew off the shelves and flew on to Gwen Stefani, the Backstreet Boys, and Paris Hilton, and Pat made the magic happen.
They're fun, they're stylish, they have an edge.
Pat would see that girl.
She was a magnet, and she still is, for special kinds of people.
The closest thing to working in a nightclub.
This is how the good Lord works.
But it's Madonna. I'm like, but the start was 12.
To hand in my paperwork with my ass out, and then I would be happy.
I did accidentally set the store on fire.
Pat Fields is the gay mother to downtown New York City.
A lot of us are already outcasts, and she's embraced us.
So I had nobody, I didn't know anybody. I had 2 resumes, fake resumes.
So now that I had a way to support myself that I liked, I called my parents and I said, I'm not coming home. How about coming to visit me for Christmas? Since I'm living here now.
This is like a studio of artists. You can't duplicate that all over the globe like a Kmart.
One time we decided to put Lady Bunny herself in the window. It was hysterical.
And, I wasn't expecting much. It had a world premiere at Frameline, which is the oldest LGBT film festival in the world out of San Francisco. We played on the Friday night. And then I just kind of said, all right, I made a film. And next thing it's playing, 15 film festivals and raising money for AIDS awareness in Brazil and all kinds of stuff. And then after that, I got into making more movies. I made a film called Scumbag about this awful telemarketing job I had. And, documentaries about the LGBTQ scene isn't necessarily my go-to as a filmmaker. Yeah. I'm more of a comedy filmmaker. That's kind of like what my maybe that's because of Canada. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. So it was an offensive punk comedy with everybody at the time from people from members of bands such as Fishbone and the Cramps, etc., all the way to people like Ron Jeremy and Michael Alec and Goddess Bunny and people, people that you're not going to see in films anymore. Nina Hartley, etc. Porn stars, punk stars, and just people like the voice of Apple Computer, all like mixed into this movie that had a cast of 230 people.
What?
All with roles, all with 230 roles. They weren't extras.
Yeah.
Every new year, I tell myself this year is gonna suck, just like it did last year. And I'm never disappointed.
I didn't piss on them. It was hot. We took our pants off. We had a sword fight.
You stop following me, or I'll rip your head off!
Ever since you got that job.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, I need a job.
Hi, Mary. How are you today?
Don't touch it. You're not allowed to look out this month.
My mama made my soul more wild oats. I made love with a backstroke. Unafraid, unabashed, 'cause I'm proud. Let's get together for the rough down. I'm alive. I'm alive.
Better not touch him or I'll get you, big meanie.
Big meanie.
Are you still in Prozac?
Yeah. You want some?
Sure can burn them fun. I have got a hot date tonight. I got a date with dynamite. If you got the guts, we'll light my match. I got an itch that you can scratch. 'Cause I'm alive. I'm
So, what are you in here for anyway?
Why does everybody keep asking me that like I'm in jail?
You don't seem like the rest of us.
You and I, we're scumbags.
And then that film played had a world premiere in 2017 at Rotterdam, playing back to back with like the Academy Award winning Best Picture Moonlight. And then I made a film that came out this year called Mr. Sister, and it featured some of the people from my documentary. Sorry about that. It featured some of the people from my documentary, but as actors. And this was if I were to draw a line between my documentary and the punk comedy Scumbag, that would be Mr. Sister, because it has the caring LGBT community that saves a kid's life, gives them a place to live and friends and belief in themselves. But then he does stand up. It's about a straight drag queen MC nun. It was a guy who's given a second chance from Milwaukee in life to in New York, but as
suicidal. This guy.
Yeah, he was suicidal because of a breakup with his girlfriend, and he ends up, just by mere coincidence, in drag in New York, hiding from society because he has warrants for not going to jury duty and weed paranoia. And he's given a place to live by a drag queen, played by Princess Diandra. And when he's on stage and he's drinking, it goes into the offensive non-PC comedy from Scumbag. It's almost like Scumbag Part 2. But when he's off screen and is around this group of people, it's almost like my documentary. So it's a way of giving back to my documentary. And that film just came out like a week ago. And Scumbag came out in England, like in the rest of the world, a week ago as well. And I just won a contest for We Make Movies, an international contest where, I pitched a feature film idea. It was only against 130 people, which, doesn't seem like much in the grand scope of things. But in the end, I was awarded a $25,000 movie where I'm getting to make another movie in March. Yeah. And it's all based on a friend's play, Doron Bromstein out of Israel. It's a play called Stars about a group of 5 homeless women, actually 6 homeless women that, they bicker and they complain about life. And then they find out that a tiny glimmer of hope is worth more than all the money in the world. And that's my first serious drama No comedy about this one.
Yeah.
Black and white film shot in New York. And I'm also in pre-production for a biopic on the world famous Supreme team, which is being funded and executive produced by Freeway Rick Ross, who was the person that brought crack to America and dealt drugs for the CIA and beat his prison charge. There's a lot of movies based on him, but he's my executive producer for that film.
Is he rich?
Guys, if he is, I don't know. It's very, let's just say, I make micro budget films, so he doesn't have to be rich to fund my micro budget film, but he knows a lot of people, and he's doing a movie on himself right now, where just from his friends, he raised $18 million to do the biopic on his film. So I guess he knows people.
Yes, must have. Yeah. How did you get the budget for Mr. Sister? I've looked at it, and it's top quality. What kind of budget did you have for that film? And how did you pay? Were these all your friends or all the collaborators who joined in the film?
A lot of them are my friends usually. The one thing I'll say, like, I lived in Toronto, then I lived in New York for 10 years, and I've been living in LA for the last almost 11 years now. It'll be 11 years in February. With LA, it seems like everybody's moved here to make it in film at one time or another. And like, no matter who you could meet the bus driver and they came here to be an actor or a filmmaker. But you knock on about 5 doors here and you'll find the best cameras in the world that are collecting dust and like, hey, you want to help me on a movie? And, there's not a lot of indie people here I've been finding, like, in the 11 years. So when I say, all right, let's just go and do it, screw the rules, let's just go make a movie. There are a lot of people willing to jump at the chance, because not many people do that. They fall into this thing where they want to mimic Hollywood and try to make a Hollywood movie and act like a Hollywood big shot, and then their money runs out really quick when they're playing that game. And me, I go up and I'm like, I'm a guy with no money with a cool idea. You want to do this? I make films like a graffiti artist, like, those are my inspirations. It's the whiz. Let's just run, we'll shoot wherever, and that's kind of, I'm a guerrilla filmmaker by heart. So that's what I do. And I get away with it a lot more in New York. So that's why I shoot most of my films in New York. Like, you can shoot in front of police officers there, knock on wood, and they'll actually help you or move people out of the way without even asking if you're allowed to shoot here, in the subway, and they're cool about that. So the only thing you can't get away with in New York is using drones. Like, you probably get shot by the US Air Force, for doing that. Like, it's very serious about that.
Okay. How did you get the script together? Was there a script, or was a lot of this ad-libbed on the set?
No.
Did you have like a loose script that was?
No, I wrote my film. I write all my films, except this latest film is just a play adaptation. But I write my films. They're from scripts that I write. And Scumbag, I made over the course of an entire year, because I only had enough money to do about one day a month kind of thing. So I would meet famous people in that time, and I'd say, well, I need to put them in the movie. Let me write a scene for them, And it was crazy, like, in the end. And I put, like, I break away from my film sometimes because I have a music video background, and I'll put, like, straight up music videos in the middle of my movie, and people be like, what is this? It's not a musical. This is, so I came up with this whole doctrine. I said I make Rocktopia films, and if you Google it, you'll see, like, all the rules to making a Rocktopia film. And because people like to have a label with things, so that's what I did. And but I do leave room for improvisation, but I'm not one of these people that say, all right, actors, make up a scene. I'm not going to do that at all. But if it falls into their own language, that's how we do it. In fact, the movie Stars, I have a few hours after this interview, is going to be my first table read with the entire cast who have never met each other, and some of them haven't met me yet. And one of the things I'm going to say is like here's my script. I'm not Shakespeare, so I'm not gonna force the line down your throat. If it comes out natural, as long as we get from point A to point B, we're going to keep the camera rolling, and hopefully you get it right. But I'm not going to have you stop in the middle of a take. And some of the best scenes I've had have had improvisation, and I always get people to sign those release forms, so then I can go back and add their improvisation to the final script if that's the case, But that's how I've done it. I do write my films, and Scumbag was like, it was a life I lived probably in '96, and I had a friend die that was one of the people that it was about, the Elmo character, in a tragic way. And I said, okay, I need to make this film. And then one day I woke up and like photographic memory, I was able to write the whole movie in almost like one take, remembering word for word what everybody said and what they did and what they looked like. And it was almost like it wasn't coming from me. I don't know how I did that, you know, but one day I woke up and it was really clear, everything. And, you know, polishing it up, it took me maybe like 2 months or something. But yeah, Mr. Sister, same. Like once I get on a roll, it's like these characters come out of my head and I'm able to talk to one another. I don't even know what they're going to tell me, you know. And then like it's not like I sit down and plan. Okay, like with stars, you know, for We Make Movies, I had to turn in a beat sheet. I had to tell these guys and girls that you know, when I went to film school, there was no such thing as a beat sheet. Is this some kind of math formula? Because I don't know how to make films on math formulas. I can make a film and explain it afterwards in your math formula if you want, you know, but like the filmmakers I like are like Harmony, Korine, that break away from traditions. So it's like, I don't want to be stuck on a tradition where the character arc has to happen at this point. In the end, most of it works out that way. But, you know, I try to base films on how I would see it in real life. And then I'm like, look, if you're going to judge me on anything, judge me on, is it real or not? And
hey, it's me. I'm in New York. Probably not for long.
Bitch, I can't.
To make it in New York City, first you gotta be a man to be a woman.
Somebody want to tell me what the hell is that? Why is there a Thai drag queen dressed like a nun on my runway? Baby, you straight?
Yeah. I don't want anybody recognizing me.
This has been one weird night.
Who are you supposed to be? Mr. Sister?
That's Mr. Sister. What we got over here at the bar? Oh, fresh meat. Hi, sweetie.
You're like a straight drag queen. Is there like a name? Is this like a genre or something?
Well, my friend Jasmine just calls me weird.
Did anybody ever tell you your ass looks like 200 pounds of chewed up bubble gum?
I think it's pretty punk rock.
I own this place. I saw what you did up there.
I don't actually work here. I'm a homeless hoe.
Homeless hoe, come here, come here.
Picture.
That's gonna cost a bitch.
OMG, you were amazing. I want you to come back and do it again.
You want me to come back here and get drunk and high and insult people?
$200 cash a night, 300 on the weekends. Sounds all right.
I love New York. The customer is always wrong. You're in charge. And little patty pussies and kinky straights from New Jersey are at the bottom of the food chain.
We swing. I have a little money, not that much, but I'm hot for a nun with a, you know, schlong. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, I mean, I'll do anything in bed. She's like a porn star. In fact, she is a porn star. So what do you say we take a path train to my heart?
I wish I had your courage. You're like steel out there.
Yeah, my dad always said I'd make a really great mean nun one day.
Shoot, I gotta get going, but it was really nice to meet you.
And then
Yeah, it was nice
when
to meet
you
you
have
too,
something that's real, like say
keeping an
a
eye on
stone
you,
in front of you, you can look at it in two ways. This person can say that's an ugly stone, this person can say that's a beautiful stone, this person can say why the stone's like that, and this person can have a different reason why the stone's like that. It doesn't make anybody wrong, but it's open to interpretation. And as a filmmaker, I'm not going to tell either one of these people they're wrong. So it's like I leave my films with open interpretation to everybody when I make it. As long as it's as a real situation, the dialogue has to be real to me. That's really important.
Okay, I think I asked you this question on it. Is it true that you asked Ringo Starr if you join in for a small role?
Oh yeah, so I had no qualms. I'm like probably worse than Ed Wood in that movie. Like I will once I hit LA and I was like, okay, I'm casting a movie. somebody says they know somebody famous, or I see a famous person on the street, I will go up and I will pitch them my ideas, and either we'll leave friends or you know, or I'll get thrown out of the place. But like, at least I know as a filmmaker, I tried, you know? And yeah, Ringo Starr, I met him. I've seen him around a few times. It's kind of crazy. I could say I've seen Ringo Starr around a few times in Hollywood, but yeah, I saw him on a street corner, and I guess he was with his wife, and I started telling him about how I'm making this movie with, at the time, Moby and Nick Zed and all. So it was Scumbag, you know, and I needed a character for let's just say, if people see the movie Scumbag, Ringo Starr's character was replaced by Keith Morris, the original singer of Black Flag and the Circle Jerks.
Okay. Yeah.
Famous punk singer. But yeah, so I approached Ringo Starr and I told him about my idea for a movie, and he was a little confused. And he's like, what are you asking me? And I said, look, I want you to be in this role in this movie. He goes, let me answer that. Thanks for asking. And he walked away all mad. And I was really mad, you know. I was telling him off in my head, but I didn't. And it was like, you know, there's nice ways to do it, but I guess, you know, him being Ringo Starr, he probably gets approached by everything all the time. But like, you know, it's these little things in life that make me say, I'm going to try extra hard, and one day he's going to want to be in my film, and I'm going to say no. And let's say I do have a little leeway with that. I am trying to work on, you know, one of my dreams in life is to make a biopic on Keith Moon. And I know Ringo Starr would probably want to be part of that in some degree, because they were like best friends at one point. And you know, the idea is not too far off, because, you know, I know who to talk to make that happen. But I have this goal, like it's not like, hey, I'm gonna go, I hope to make this next film. It's like I have the next 6 films lined up in my head, and how I'm gonna get to them. You know, I can't do a film like that and do it justice right now. I could do a film like that and do it justice probably in about 3 or 4 films from now. You know, it's at the rate I'm going, it's going to be like a film a year right now. It looks like shooting. So, but you know, all the defense, I like Ringo Starr, I like the Beatles. You know, why not? Who would? You know?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, what is your main skill? Are you a screenwriter, a director, an editor, a DJ, an artist? What's the main?
Yeah, it's weird, right? I don't even know. You know, like I was let's say like I was a DJ forever. I have a record label with my wife called World Domination Records, and we have World Domination Pictures. And I pursued being in bands for many years. One band was called Rise NYC, and it was produced by Jim Sclavunos from Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. And I had all these people like Psychic TV do remixes and stuff. And, you know, that was my thing. I wanted to be a musician and stuff. But let's just say in life, sometimes I find that... sorry, I'm using Zoom and somebody was trying to call me. I just forgot to turn that off. Sometimes in life, when you what you want to do and what you're best at aren't always the same thing. And being 49 and I'm on my second marriage, you know, I kind of want to do what I think I'm best at. Yeah. And for whatever reason, once I said, okay, I'm ready to do this film stuff, I'm ready to direct films, you know, it all just started falling into place, and like all the people that wouldn't talk to me are working with me, and all this the press that wouldn't write about my bands are writing about it, and so it seems like I'm in the right thing. And there's always that ants inside that's like, man, I really wanted to be famous, and now my job is to make other people famous. I'm really good at making other people famous, you know, but it's a good age, I think, for me to be a filmmaker. I didn't want to be a filmmaker when I was in my 20s. I just felt like I wanted to be do a little bit more of running around on stages and stuff. But like it's perfect for me. And I'm a filmmaker in that when I make films, I'm the writer, usually the director. being an indie filmmaker, I'm the executive producer, I'm the caster, I'm the first AD. I think I'm able to actually make my movies more than a lot of other people in my situation, because I learned that all the ins and outs of being a first assistant director by working with Jesse Terrero as his first assistant director, who was directed the movie Soul Plane with Snoop Dogg and directed all the 50 Cent videos back in the day. And this is like when you would get a grant to, people were trying to make these $100,000 music videos with Aeroflex 60 millimeter cameras or whatever, for the price of $5,000. And we would try to shoot 8 locations in a day. And I was that guy making that happen. So I know how to do that with my own films. And that's how I'm able to, like this next film I'm shooting, the feature film, I'm going to shoot it in 10 days and I'll still have leeway time, in 10 days. And the other thing is being an editor. I was an editor. I think I'm a really good editor. I just can't do it for other people. I don't have the patience. And when I say editor, I mean, I'm good at cutting films. I'm not an animator by any means, or a graphic designer, but at old school editor that learned from cutting film to being one of the testers for Avid when it came out on the market. I'm good with it. And because of it, I save a lot of money for my films. And I also, this is the first film stars I'm doing that's somebody else's script, but I tend to I write films that I do, I write all my own films because I feel like it's like my baby and I want to raise it. I don't want to give it up for adoption. And I sometimes I think the way I put things on paper are not near equivalent to what's in my head with it. So I kind of feel like, okay, to do this script justice, I have to make it because I see all the visuals I'm going to do and everything, and I don't always write all that down. Okay. So I think of myself as a filmmaker. What am I strongest at? I don't know. Putting people together, putting a lot of people together, and going and making it happen. That's being a project manager.
A people person. You've won quite a few awards for Mr. Sister. Can you tell us how prestigious? What is the most prestigious award, or what's that closer to you?
Okay, so Mr. Sister, actually, believe it or not, we didn't play that many film festivals. We were very selective. We played 2. We played. We were the closing film for both. We were the closing film for Dances with Films, which is probably the best independent film festival out here in California. It happens at the Chinese Grauman's Theater. And we were the closing film for Winter Film Awards, which is a cool new film festival in New York. They're on their 10th, actually 11th season. And we were the closing film for that. And we won Best New York City Film, which is a big deal being in New York, winning Best New York City Film. And we were nominated for our main actor, Jack James Boosa, was nominated for Best Actor. But if I go back in time, Scumbag played something like 19 film festivals and it won 8 awards and 7 nominations and that. But we really ran with that because there was no pandemic, and we played probably for 2 or 3 years at film festivals. Even after we got distribution in North America, we kept playing at them. And it's available in movie theaters in England, actually, through Our Screen. Our Screen, I think, is closed right now, but it's a portal. But back in the day, you could go. It's called Cinema by Demand. You pick, you'd say you're in Liverpool, you want to see it at the View Liverpool. So you go on Our Screen and say, I want to see Scumbag at Liverpool. You tell all your friends, if 20 people buy tickets, it's happening or whatever. And then the movie happens, the day you want. So we have a UK distribution deal for that. But, there's been so many awards and so many things like that. But some of the nicer awards was winning the Audience Choice Award for The Little House That Could in 2015 for a film shot in SD from 2006. We won the New Filmmakers Los Angeles Award for Audience Choice for Best Film that year. And then I was getting the awards given to me by people that were from Breaking Bad and Missy Pyle and stuff like that on the stage. And then
At these events, if people, they can hire the cinema, like the View Cinema, is that like a Rocky Horror Show event? People sort of go dress for the occasion type of thing and have a bit of a party as they're watching the film?
You can set up a party like that, but no, I don't have that yet. I've really wanted my audience to be like that because, when we play in LA for a Scumbag, it looks like it looks like a lineup for a punk concert or something. Like people know what they're getting into and what it's about. Like it one of the weirdest venues it's played, Scumbag, was it played a prison in like New Mexico or something like that. It was a prison. Yeah. I think it was a prison that's no longer a prison, but it's set up like a prison, and people go and hang out there, and they showed the film on a wall there, and it was like for free. And it was the Spanish version, you know, because a lot of people from Mexico going to this like area where it was like basically a punk festival, and the film was shown on a prison wall. I had The Little House That Could, that was shown in a colony for Sandinistas in Mexico. Those are the organizations that take down the government. They wear masks and they ride horses, and they have their own like civilization, and nobody's allowed to go there. They kind of took their land back from the government, and it's been like that forever. It's like the old Wild West. And a Sandinista colony took The Little House That Could and played it there, and I asked them how it went, and I never heard from anybody ever again.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, and then it played in Cameroon at the Cameroon International Film Festival, where I guess it's probably illegal to be gay there or something like that. And the government came with machine guns and shut the hotel down where they were playing the movie. And I'm glad I didn't go to that festival. I might not be here to do the interview with you, but I've had all kinds of stuff like that. And you know, I don't know. I can't say what's my favorite award, what's not, but my favorite festivals we've played, you know, like definitely the best one was the 46th International Film Festival, Rotterdam. It was one of those eye-opening experiences where you show up to a city. It was actually my first time in Europe too. And I'm looking around going, wow, this whole city, Rotterdam's based around this film festival. So when it's not on there, it doesn't seem like there's much going on, but they got all the statues for the festival. And it just was really cool. I always jokingly tell people I felt like I was in Philadelphia, but meets Transylvania. That was the kind of vibe I got. Looked like Philadelphia. The people reminded me of like Transylvania or something. But it was cool. And it was one of these things where I was like, you know, playing in front of 500 people in this beautiful movie theater. I said, I got to come back here again, like just to come back, you know. And then we played at Lund International Fantastic Film Festival in Sweden, which is one of the fantastic horror genre film festivals. It's part of that alliance. And you know, watching other films like shark movies from a 20-foot deep pool in the dark with no lifeguard in the middle of Sweden on a wall, shark movies. I thought, well, this is pretty crazy, right? You know, that I'm here right now. That was fun. And you know, if things go right, you know, we might, Mr. Sister, I haven't released in Europe because we're waiting on a certain film festival, which I won't mention, in a big one in London, you know, and if that's the case, we might be there at the end of March to show it in London. And it will be my first time that I'm there, you know, other than waiting at the Heathrow airport for a transfer, you know, it'll be my first time there, and I'll try to make them have a great time, you know. I'll let you know if that happens.
That was the main question I had. When can we see it here in the UK and in the rest of Europe?
So I find out by mid-February if we play this festival in London, and if it happens, it will take place the end of March, and that's when we'll be there. If we don't play there, then we're just going to self-release the film for the rest of the world around that time. So it will be available at the latest in early April for England and the rest of the world.
Okay, yeah, look forward to it. Is your wife, is she one of the songs in Mr. Sister, Sad Sad Vampire? Brilliant song. Is that your wife singing and performing that song?
Yeah, she's one of my main actors in all my films, except for The Little House That Could. She toured with me with The Little House That Could, but we weren't together yet, and she wasn't in my films. But yeah, Scumbag, she plays the main character's love interest, and same with Mr. Sister, you know. Deborah Hayden is her acting name. Deborah Roberge, her real name, but she's a singer, dancer, ventriloquist. She does a show on an app called Bigo, which is out of the Philippines, and she's a lot of the characters I write about are based on her, and she's the main actress in the movie Stars. And this is the first role where I didn't write the script, so it's like the character is very opposite of who she is as a person. So I know she's able to do it. You know, it's not like I've dated people before that have talents and things, but I wouldn't necessarily say, oh, I want you to be in my movies. I know she's gonna bring it, and she's gonna do a good job. Like she got awarded on her own. Best emerging artist by the Hollywood Film Festival, which was at Paramount Studios, and Lou Adler, aka Lou Grant, the character from Mary Tyler Moore, was on stage giving that award. You know, that was one of the last things he did before he passed.
Yeah, passed away recently, hasn't he? Sadly.
Yeah. So you know, she has a music project called Skunk in the Roses, where she it's basically, it's kind of like dance music, like D-Light from the 90s, like Groove is in the Heart, kind of fun New York City style dance music. I help her with the beats, but she does pretty much the programming, sings, and it's very much like a Betty Boop or 30s swing flapper girl meets dance music kind of thing. And we actually just put out a single. She did the song in Mr. Sister, that the sad vampire song.
It's like a Charleston feel to it, isn't it? Like, as you say, like a 30s style, like Charleston beat.
Yeah, that's her background, you know, like Audrey Hepburn is her idol. And you know, and we released a sad vampire, which features footage from the movie. My other films have couple music videos featured from the movies that they're in as well. But you know, we also just released a EP just yesterday of sad vampire remixes, which feature dub remixes by Mantra Move, a group out of England, featuring Nick Turner from Hawkwind, Youth from Killing Joke, who also works with Paul McCartney. And it sounds like a reggae version of that song. And then we have Din from Toronto, who plays keyboards in an industrial band called Digital Poodle. He does like glitter space disco remixes, and he like sampled like scenes from the TV show Dragula, which is kind of like the evil version of RuPaul's Drag Race, you know, and like we got samples from that in there. And full album. Like we put out vinyl records. If they go to worlddomination.pictures, there's a .pictures instead of a .com now. I found out. That's our website, and you can get we'll ship our records anywhere in the world. There's even stuff from my old bands with remixes by David J from Bauhaus and Love and Rockets and stuff that people have never heard, you know. So
I'll put a link on that to the when the video goes out. I'll put that link on there on YouTube.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, the video's out, and the everything is we're sending stuff out for the holiday seasons right now, and that's
brilliant. What can I say? Well, thank you very much, and I'm really looking forward to this release. So keep my fingers crossed, touching wood, that you're able to attend this film festival, and it all goes well, and we can see it sooner than later.
Yeah, I just wanted to put it out there, like people in North America can see Mr. Sister by going to vimeo.com/on-demand Mr. Sister, and it's MISTER. And if you get confused, just go to MrSisterNYC.com. And for Scumbag, we're available in Europe through Vimeo on demand.
Saw that yesterday. Yep.
Go to scumbag-movie.com or go to vimeo.com/on-demand/scumbag, all lowercase. And you can go and see the film today.
Okay.
And with the Little House That Could, we're on a platform out of Toronto called Mainstream Media Unplugged, or Out TV in Europe, but you can watch it for free on Mainstream Media Unplugged, and it's msmu.me/play/1080, and you'll just hit the play button and you'll be able to watch that, so you can see all the films.
Yeah, as I say, I'll put a link to all of it at the end of this, what I'm doing after the edit. Well, thanks very much for chatting. And it's I've never known half an hour to go by so quickly, to be honest.
Thank you for having me. It's really great to be here. And you're a writer too.
I am.
How's that going?
Do you know what? I should be writing rather than doing chats, but it's a distraction. But I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. I've got one novel out. I'm working on part 2, but it stops and starts as I keep changing the storyline as characters sort of developing.
What's the novel? It's on Amazon or something?
Yeah, Tales from the Green Hills.
Cool. And you're in the Green Hills.
Yeah, it's an area in Chilwell. It's set in 1976. There was a famous heat wave back then, one of the hottest periods out on record. And it's about a teenager who has troubled lifestyle, and basically it's his journey from being a bad boy to doing the right thing ultimately, and his adventures he gets on with. Yeah,
that's awesome. And you're in Green Hills is in Liverpool.
It's a place that there's people in Liverpool. They'll either reckon that there's a pub called the Green Hills in Liverpool. There's also an area in Childwell. It's a sort of a green hill bank that runs over a disused railway line, and there used to be school playing fields on either side of it. That was way back then in 1976, but now it's all built up with houses. But it's hardly recognizable.
And our main actor in Mr. Sister, Jack James Wusa, went to Paul McCartney's School of Acting, which I think is Liverpool.
Yeah, I was asking you about that. I was wondering whether he was actually from Liverpool or just that he came to attend at Lipper.
So is that school famous out there?
It is, yeah, it is. It's Liverpool Institute of Performing Arts. It's where a lot of actors go to, musicians go to, creative people. I think it was originally, it's Paul McCartney's old school, the Institute in Liverpool city centre, near where the big cathedrals are. But he sort of funded this derelict building and created this new theatre school, the Performing Arts Theatre.
Wow. So while we're on the topic of the Beatles, our main actor, Jack James Wusa, is from Austin, but he plays in a band called Uni, and Uni features this girl named Charlotte Comp Mule, and Charlotte Comp Mule dates Sean Lennon, and they have a label and band together as well. And I think Sean Lennon plays an influential role in somewhat managing Uni. Maybe I'm wrong. There's a connection through today through Ringo Starr, Paul McCartney, and John Lennon, and this interview. So
he brought it all together.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having us.
That's been a delight. I've really enjoyed the chat, and best luck with the future. And I'm looking forward to watching Mr. Sister as soon as it's available here.
Thanks, Terry.
Cheers, Miles.
Best of luck with your book and everything.
Thanks very much. Appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Have a wonderful week. Bye.
And you. Bye now. Bye.